In this tutorial, we explain the investable attribute of experience as measured in the Darwinia Trading Challenge. We're going to cover why we even track experience as an investable attribute, how experience affects your score at Darwinia, how we calculate experience, and then we'll discuss a few topics which might be of interest after watching this tutorial. So the reason we track experience before evaluating trading strategies is that you can't reach reliable conclusions without enough information. For instance, if I gave you the photo of a very famous trader and asked you if he was investable, and you only knew one trade from that trader, it would be impossible for you to tell me whether he is investable or not. Now, given enough information, the picture would become much clearer, and you would see that we were talking about George Soros. He was the man behind the track record, and you bet he was an investable trader. It's just we couldn't know if we only had access to one of his trades. Similarly, the question often comes up in Darwinia, which is how long a strategy has to be active, what rank length warrants meaningful conclusions. And of course, the answer to this will depend on the trading style. For instance, if you have a swing trader who takes few trades, relatively long of them, and a scalper who takes maybe several trades a day, different people would have different opinions as to what minimum track record length is enough. Maybe some people would tell you 24 months is enough for a swing trader, and for a scalper, since there's more activity, it would just be 9. The point is that if you want to benchmark experience across strategies, you will have to look at traditional measures such as we discussed, how long the track record is, the total number of trades, how long these last and how often they're placed. Does the strategy actually place simultaneous trades? Are some of those, if they are hedging trades, are trades more or less homogeneous in a few pairs, or do they vary across currencies, and so on? The point is, to get to a conclusion, you really have to get under the hood, get your hands dirty, and look at a lot of data. Now, we tried to rank all strategies on an apples-to-apples basis, so one of the things we had to do was to find a unifying measure so that we could compare experience across strategies which are different, such as swing strategies and scalping strategies. Now, at DarwinX, we use deep periods, which is roughly 1 month of full-time trading, but not the same as 1 month of full-time trading, to track experience. And really, this is our effort to keep your trousers clean so that you don't have to go under the hood, but rather can say 2 strategies which have the same experience are statistically comparable in terms of the significance. So how does experience affect your score at Darwinia? Well, experience is a bit of a special investable attribute in that it is the only investable attribute that can only grow. So you will never lose experience. All you can do is gain if you trade. The second point is that you get a full 10 out of 10 grade for experience after 12 deep periods. As I said, a deep period is roughly a full-time trading month, but not the same, as we'll see later. Crucially, and this is something that a lot of people get surprised about, an experience below 10 out of 10 penalizes your D-score. So you can have stellar performance in all the other investable attributes, and still your DarwinX score will be quite low because we still don't trust the conclusions reached by our algorithms before you have gotten to the 12 deep periods. To highlight an example, we're going to look at a strategy so that you can see how experience is tracked in the Darwinia Challenge. So for instance, here we have a strategy which has very good grades in all the 6 elements and has reached an experience score of 10 because it already has clocked, as you can see going into Darwinia and experience, the full 12 deep periods for experience. So when you go into Darwinia experience, the chart will show you each of these numbers represents the point in time at which this strategy, for instance, clocked 11 periods, 12 periods. After these 12 periods, the grade for experience would have reached a level of 10, and then the DarwinX score would be determined by all the other 5 elements without penalty for lack of experience. Let's look at a strategy which has not reached those full periods. As we can see, it is a very promising strategy which has reached pretty high grades, almost comparable to the previous strategy in all the Darwinia elements, such as risk management, discipline, performance, timing, and scalability, but it's not quite there in terms of experience. So if you look at the level of this strategy, it's still ranked as newbie, even though it very likely would be an advanced, if not even an expert strategy on the basis of the grades on all the other scores. And as you can see, this is because it has only got a 2.8 in experience. It's still missing, it's still short of the 3.3 required to get to rookie. And that's, as we've just discussed, because it hasn't clocked enough deep periods. It's only got, as you can see here, 3 and maybe even 3.32 deep periods under its belt. So as it continues to accumulate experience, if it continues to do equally well on the other ones, it will very likely reach a score close to 70 and at the Darwinia level of pretty much between advanced and expert. Now, the chart, just whilst we're at it, let's explain it, is tracking the number of calendar days, which you can see in the horizontal axis, because that's a calendar you're seeing, that are required to clock in a full deep period. So in this case, when the activity was lower, we would be high up on the chart, and this trader would require 72 calendar days to clock in one full deep period, which is roughly equivalent to one full month in the market. Then all of a sudden in June, he was quite a bit more active, and he was reaching, he was putting in more activity and therefore accruing experience at a much faster rate, in something like 18 to 20 days of trading. So we've explained point 3, now to point 4. You will be off the leaderboard below 0.5 deep periods. So below 0.5 deep periods, there's absolutely no conclusion that we can offer, and therefore we don't show you yet on the leaderboard. Once you have passed 0.5 until you reach 1.7, all the charts for Darwinia will be calculated, but you will not be given the grades until you reach that threshold of 1.7 deep periods. And last but not least, you should know that recent activity, whatever you do in Darwinia more recently, weighs more in all your grades than the past, especially after you have clocked in the full 12 periods, after which any activity prior to that point is ignored. So only the last 12 periods are relevant towards your Darwin score. Whatever you did 24 periods ago does not affect your Darwin score in the slightest. So you're probably asking how a deep period is calculated, because in many sites, for instance, you see that people take 250 simultaneous trades and they then say, well, you know, I have a lot of experience because I've done 250 separate trades long the euro dollar at the same time, which obviously does not mean a lot of experience. It just means a lot of trades in one single asset, which is only one decision. So let us explain a bit of the logic of how experience is calculated at Darwinia. So two elements really drive it. One element is the exposure to the market, and if you are with open trades in the market, stuff will happen, news will be released, volatility will shift, and so on and so forth. And that exposure is tracked in trading days. And then, of course, as that stuff happens, you have choice as to what you do about it, and you will be making trading decisions. You could open trades, you can close trades, you can change your leverage, and so on and so forth. And those two elements combined are what drives the speed at which you accrue experience. So what is a trading day, the first of the two elements? Well, a trading day is a day where you had exposure to the market. So if we look at this particular strategy, on the 21st of July, it had open trades, therefore that was a trading day. Similarly, on the 22nd, likewise. Not on the 23rd. On the 23rd, there were no open trades, and therefore that was not a trading day. But the 24th and 25th were, so this strategy would have clocked 4 trading days in this particular week. And then the other element, the decisions, is really one which is slightly more complicated to explain, but I'll give you an example that hopefully you'll understand. So let's say we have a strategy which places 99 trades with a deleverage of 1. A deleverage, just to remind you, is a measure to track risk in terms of euro-dollar. So 99 trades with 1-to-1 euro-dollar risk, and all of them were equally long, lasted for 20 minutes. So obviously you would reach some meaningful conclusions because you have had, quite a bit of trades which are, let's assume, non-simultaneous and have led to a certain return, let's say kind of 7% over those 99 trades. And then the strategy takes a trade which is completely off the previous experience with a deleverage of 200, so a lot more risk, and keeps that trade open for 1 month. Obviously, the performance for this particular strategy would be totally determined by the outcome of this last 100th trade, and therefore there would be the weight of that particular decision would shadow all the rest, and it would not be much experience that was accrued by this trader, because you could not reach meaningful conclusions because everything was driven by that high risk trade. And that's why decisions are weighted by market exposure as defined by deleverage and length. So how do trading days and trading decisions lead to deep periods? Well, for you to accrue one deep period, you need 18 trading decisions and 15 days. And you have to meet both thresholds for one period to accrue in a way such that, for instance, in a month, you could be very efficient and reach both thresholds in the minimum possible way. But it could also be the thresholds are reset at each deep period. So for instance, it could be that on the next period, you still only require the 18 decisions, but kind of wasted some days. And the reason for this is precisely to avoid issues like the one we discussed before. For instance, if a single decision overshadows all the others, then it would be important to see what you are doing on the rest of the trading days. Similarly, it could be that in some months you fulfill it after 15 days, but have done more because you've done more decisions. And that was really it. So we've spoken about some elements which may not be 100% fresh to you. So if you don't really know what deleverage is, you can visit the YouTube tutorial for that now. If you want to understand how to progress within our Darwinian Trading Challenge, you can refresh that on the YouTube channel right now. You can even subscribe to it so that you're informed whenever we release new videos, or you can even track our Twitter account of Darwin Exchange. We hope this clarified any questions you might have had. Feel free to reach out to us if we didn't, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.